Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of East Meets West, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is a sort of Pistons post game show just to tap in with y'all. You know, the Pistons beat the Atlanta Hawks. We are the
Woot
sixth
woot.
seed. We are the sixth seed. K dropped 29, 6 and 11. Beasley dropped 19 off the bench. He's crazy. During 14, 12, and 2 assists. Asar with 16 points, 24 minutes. In 24 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So we had some production. Tobias Harris, he got 9 points in 37, but you know, he didn't shoot too bad. He only break one out of 50%, but you know, we really came to get y'all something else. So that's
Well, wait, real quick, real quick,
a
real quick,
brief.
real
Yeah.
quick, real quick. Our guy, Beef Stew, only 2 points, but 12 boards, 3 assists, and 3 emphatic blocks. Three,
Yes.
man, those players' children are going to feel those blocks. So continue.
Those players' children are gonna feel them. But we came to give y'all like another little, everybody doing a little trade talk thing. So, we're gonna continue. Cause we can go in depth about more players, but we're gonna do it right now, just a little, just a drop. You know what I mean? And we can start with Pat Connaughton for the Detroit
Yeah,
Pistons.
yeah. The rumors. Basically, this is all related to the Jimmy Butler stuff. Now, make no mistake, right? Jimmy Butler's not going to be ending up in Detroit, but it seems like it's going to be like a 4-team trade, maybe even a 5-team trade, where supposedly the framework was Jimmy will end up in Phoenix. I think Bradley Beal may end up in Milwaukee. Chris
Oh,
Middleton and I think maybe Bruce Brown end up in Miami. But in order for all that to work, each of those teams need to send out some of like their role player, those ancillary contracts, right, to kind of create space. Specifically for Milwaukee, they are hard capped right now at the second apron, meaning that like unless they dip below the second apron, they cannot aggregate contracts.
right,
So if they can get a team to just absorb someone like say Pat Connaughton, that at least gets them under the second apron, and then they can start to combine contracts to bring in Bradley Beal and do that whole shuffling, the
right,
carousel of players. So the Pistons have been linked as a team that could potentially be in the market to absorb Pat Connaughton's contract. Now, Pat Connaughton, he's under contract this year. He's under contract next year for
yeah,
about 9.4 million each year.
right.
The Pistons have 14 million in cap space. They don't even need to send out a contract, you know.
No,
And frankly, because you're doing Milwaukee a favor, um, or since
they,
we would be doing them a favor. Hell, we would get Connaughton, and probably they'd send us like a second round pick or something,
right,
to
yeah,
basically rent out our cap space. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was eager to. I was actually. My eyes did like kind of get a little wide when I saw that. I think some people are kind of dismissive. They're like,
yeah,
oh, it's just another guard. He's not a point guard. He's not Ivy. I understand that, but I
right,
mean, like in a way, it's actually kind of nice that he's not Ivy.
right,
He brings a different dimension to the team. If he
right,
were to join the Pistons,
right.
um, you know, Connaughton, yeah, you could say he's a two guard. I understand people's concerns. I get it, especially after tonight. A great team win. Well, okay, it's a good team win. It's a lot of Cade. It's a lot of Cade,
Whole lot of K, yeah.
you know. But I get it, right? We love this team. We kind of become emotionally attached. We're getting to know them. They're getting to know us. The Detroit community,
Right,
Pistons fans. But I think if we really just kind of take a step back, we could say, like, there are still definitive things that we can improve upon. Like even tonight, right? Had a big lead. And I know there was some garbage time at the end, but still, I mean,
that last
we
quarter was
got
horrible.
outscored, I believe, 29 to
29,
17.
17. Yep.
And they
Hmm.
opened up, if I recall, they opened up the fourth quarter like going like 17 to 6, in Atlanta's favor. Because I was monitoring that.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that to prove a point, but like that has kind of been an issue, right?
Right.
Is that uh our lack of ball handling, our lack of shot creation outside of Cade frankly, Cade's the only one who could do it. You know, if
He
you can get
is.
another person who could do both, great. If you could get another person who could do one or the other, that still helps out a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I just think like a lot of fans, I see they are not too. I mean, it's not a big name. He's Pat Connaughton's not Jimmy Butler. He's not Bradley Beal. He's it's like all these bigger names floating around.
Right.
I just think that for the Pistons, he could actually have both like an impact by what he does himself, but like also he could be a force multiplier. I think a lot of fans seem to think like, ugh, if we bring in a guy like Pat Connaughton, is he taking minutes away from Beasley? Is he taking minutes away potentially from Sasser? I
Right.
don't think so. I think you could play him alongside. To me, he's more of a 2-3,
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
but he has enough ball handling skills. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, he's great as a slasher, but I mean, he could take at least 4 dribbles and not
Yeah.
like, go crazy.
Fumble.
Yeah,
Right.
you know?
And he'll be good alongside Cade as well if they,
Yeah.
if they have minutes together.
And then frankly, at 9.4 million, it's pretty good value. Now,
Right.
obviously he's had like his injury concerns, but I mean, like, assuming you're getting him and he's healthy, I mean, both in terms of it doesn't, cripple what we want to do in the off season, you
Right.
know, whether that's with regards to giving our own players extensions or trying to be active in free agency.
Right.
And also, as you're seeing with these other teams, right? They're having to like aggregate so many salaries. Like for example, Jimmy Butler, he's like making like what $50 million roughly,
Yeah.
right?
48.
So
Yeah.
teams, yeah, right. Teams
Roughly
got to like
50.
cobble together like 3-4 contracts to equal Jimmy, right? Because you got to make the money match. I
Right.
mean, that's why it kind of comes in handy. You got a guy like Connaughton making like 9.4, right? That way you don't have to like scrape together 3 guys making like $3 million. So I
Exactly.
mean, like, it's good business, and I feel like
It's good for the
it can
team.
legitimately help. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's good for
you
the
know.
team. We're not looking to send somebody into Exodus just to get better. You know what I mean? Because this team as a whole is getting better together. So
Yeah,
it's a part of me that doesn't want to break that up and just add something. You know what I mean? Like just drop it off. All right, thank you. We'll send somebody back to G League or whatever we need to do. Somebody that's at the very far end of the bench or something like that if we need to shed them. But yeah,
I mean,
I like it.
no, that's the thing. Milwaukee doesn't even want to take anybody back.
No, of course
Yeah.
not.
The whole point is they need to open up cap space. Well, not cap space. They need to get below the second apron and ideally even open up a roster spot. Frankly, you would only have to send back like Wendell Moore,
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like to me, it's like such a low risk, potentially high reward, like relative to what we need. I
Right.
think it could be high reward. So I don't know. I mean, like,
Another shooter.
I feel like the reason why the Pistons came up is it is the type of move on the margin that I think in the past Trajan Landon has made. You know,
Right.
whether
Yeah.
when he was with New Orleans or when he was in Brooklyn. It's kind of like those ancillary guys that fall through the cracks.
Right.
He's had success doing that. So yeah.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. Terry Rozier. And I think we
Okay.
both are mutual on this. I think. I mean, like,
Hell yeah, dude.
I think Terry is.
Good.
We seen Scary Terry in Boston. We know what he sort of kind of has been from Miami. Sort of. It's been some injuries from last year, but I know that Scary Terry can like fill it up like in a short amount of time. So is he better than someone like a Sasser that we should be considering him? You know what I mean? And that's where he gets my nod. Like, yeah, Terry Rozier, maybe Terry Rozier. Like, come in, you can facilitate, you can control the ball, you have the ability to score. So
Yeah.
what would be wrong with him coming to the Pistons? And I don't see a problem. Like, especially with us with the type of cap room we have, like we won't have to shed much. Because a part of me is starting to want to keep Sasser because I think I see him taking the next steps, but um I think right now Terry Rozier is more of that because, like Beasley, he can probably come off the bench with Beasley and drop another 15 points. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
Beasley, bam, 15, 20. Terry Rozier, bam, 12, 15. You know what I mean? And it would look good. It would be nice for us, especially so we don't have defensive lapses. And I like that idea. I do.
Yeah, Terry, I guess if trying to understand fans' concerns or reluctance to be open to that, because again, I think Terry Rozier could be one of those guys moved around as part of the whole Jimmy deal, as
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
players are being moved around, and so
Yeah.
he could end up being rerouted to a team like Detroit. You know,
Right.
um, on court, on court, I actually think he fits. I think
Yeah.
like
I
he's
do
a
too.
great fit. I think
I
he's a
do
great
too.
fit. I think he's actually. I don't think he gets enough respect for his defense. That's not to say like, oh my god, he's like some all defensive player,
Right.
or some defensive stopper. He's not Bruce Bowen or anything like that. But I mean, he's tenacious on ball. He'll
Yeah.
stay in front of his man. You
Right.
know, again, it's like we've seen with some of our guys, right? You don't want them switching, but I mean, at least he can stay in front of his man. That doesn't,
Right.
necessitate a switch or the help. Um, but offensively, as we've been saying these last several weeks, right? Actually, even before the Ivy injury, we need. It's not just a second scoring option, another
No.
second go-to option. We need another secondary like playmaker,
Facilitator. Yeah.
facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of people. Again, I'm with you. I'm not like closing the book on Marcus Sasser.
Right.
If I'm being optimistic, what Terry Rozier is now is ideally what Marcus Sasser should strive to become.
To be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not there yet. I've heard, I saw like I heard like on podcasts and saw some like Twitter comments, people saying like, well, Cade, everyone says Cade needs a second scoring option. I mean, like, isn't that what Marcus Sasser does? Blah, blah, and then they pull out the numbers. I understand that, right? But like, see, he can be efficient playing next to Cade, but he doesn't necessarily increase Cade's efficiency. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Like Sasser, no, does not. I don't think, at the very least, JB does not seem to feel confident, right, in his ability to handle or to facilitate, in close games,
Right.
And I tweeted this out the other day, right? Like, this is actually now like factual. There are numbers to back this up, right? In
Okay.
terms of the most on ball usage,
Mhm.
right? Like on ball usage in which action is actually run for you. So not that you're just holding the ball. On ball action ran through a single player.
Yeah.
Cade leads the league in on ball usage, right? Basically meaning he is the offensive engine, right?
Yeah.
He's up there ahead of like guys like Jalen Brunson. He's up there even ahead of like Luka, which maybe makes sense, right? Because he plays with Kyrie now. But still, that's how heavy his workload is. Now, get this. In fourth quarter crunch time minutes, Cade is tied for the fourth worst field goal percentage in fourth quarter crunch time minutes, 33.3%.
Oh. All
So
right.
how do I interpret that? I interpret it as because his workload is so heavy throughout the game,
Yeah.
it wears on him.
Right.
That's why we need a legitimate secondary, as you said, playmaker, facilitator to lighten that load in the second and third quarters so that you could get Cade a little bit more fresh down the stretch. Like you said, right? Like even tonight. Would
Yeah.
the game have gone a little bit closer if you had somebody with a more steady hand?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. Right.
Yeah.
But I think there's merit to it. And I think that would be Terry's appeal. So I'm with you. And again, he's battle tested.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
He
played in
is.
like the biggest of biggest games. Just
He
because he hasn't
has.
won a ring yet, no. Like, don't give me that.
Yeah.
He's
It
played in
does.
the NBA Finals and everything.
He's a vet, basically.
Yeah. Again, the only drawback is so he's also signed under contract through next season. So this year, next year,
Yeah.
at just under 25 million. So that's different.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
That puts a flip on it, to be
I
honest.
mean, hey, if you're like, and I'm not even saying that means you have to decide between Terry and Ivy. I mean, Terry is coming from a situation where he came off the bench. He's been coming off the bench for Miami. Whether he likes it or not, he's been professional and he's done it
Right.
well. You see what I'm saying? So I like at
Yeah.
least his ego isn't like no, like I'm gonna be I'm gonna be held
No,
mad. I'm gonna
no.
be disgruntled. If I'm coming off the bench, like
Yeah.
he's not doing that. So like, say next year you decide, you know what, like we're gonna hold off on Ivy's extension. We're just gonna like go into restricted free agency with him.
Yeah.
Then that means you got Ivy on like what $7-8 million contract. You got Terry on 24.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem so bad,
Nah.
right? And then that's
Especially if it's
your top three
something that
guard
he'll teach
rotation.
him. Especially if it's
Yeah,
something that he'll teach him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Ivy will learn from him. So that's valuable.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I don't know. I don't know the likelihood. Like of how all like this whole player, or dosey do goes. But I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, the same thing. This is assuming we're not giving up too much assets, other than like
Right.
expiring contracts.
Right.
You know, but all right. I again, I think I don't think he takes away from anything.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Okay.
maybe potentially depending on how much salary you want to send out, because that is 24 million you're bringing
Yeah.
in. I mean, like we knew at some point if it's like, if for example, if Beasley's the priority to keep
Yeah.
past this season, then
Yes.
THJ's got to go. So if you're telling me we're swapping out THJ for Terry, like me personally, I would do it. I would do it. I could understand if other people push back on it, but like I think it addresses a bigger need,
Right.
in my opinion. So
Okay. 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 Well, moving on, I want to hear about this player because this is another one. Cole Anthony to the Detroit
yep.
Pistons with his scoring acumen. Now, my first question before you going on him is: does he start or does he come off the bench? Uh oh. Uh oh. The math. He's mathematicianing. He's thinking.
I mean, I think there's merit to having him do both. Really,
Yeah.
really. I mean, what do if we get Cole Anthony, it's gonna come like as the result again of like probably a multi-team deal.
Yeah.
It sounds like Orlando is trying to, obviously they're trying to increase their 3-point shooting, but they want it on the wing, you know.
Right.
And I think with Cole Anthony, they did not come to an extension with him. It's unlikely they'll be bringing him back, which is why I think they have a little bit of motivation to potentially deal him if the opportunity came up. Actually, I'm sorry. No, they did extend him. They did extend him a couple
Okay.
like last year,
Okay.
but I think now with the emergence, obviously Jalen Suggs has kind of established himself as the lead guard. And
Right.
then I think the emergence or the continuing emergence of Anthony Black, they're trying
Yeah.
to balance out, their books and try
Right.
to round out the roster, especially with Franz being out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it was directly with the Pistons, like if the Pistons are sending somebody out, I think again it would be THJ.
Yeah.
Because again, I think they want a little bit more size on the wing, a shooter. I could also see them like maybe being interested in Tobias, but I'm not sure if we're ready to trade Tobias, especially for Cole Anthony. But
Not
Cole
yet.
Anthony, after this year, he's under contract for 3 years. So after this year, 2 more years, just under 13 million again. Like again, can he play with Ivy? Can he play with Beasley? Can he play with Kate? Yes, yes, yes. You
Right.
know, um, does he have to start? Damn, that's a good question. I mean, I would. Who's starting
Uh-oh.
right now? No, probably not. Probably not.
No.
I'd still keep. Well, wait, no. Who is starting right now? No, because Beasley's been coming off the bench.
Yeah. and
Well, no, if
running it
THJ
up.
is going out, yeah, I could see a world where you start Cole Anthony. But basically, again, it goes back to what we've been saying. I think maybe it's a lazy comparison. I'd put him in the same mold. He's not a carbon copy of Terry Rozier, but the same mold as Scary Terry.
Right.
Kind of like quick. He's not too diminutive. I was gonna say water bug, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like he's not like hopping around. He's quick. He's hopping around.
Yeah.
Obviously, he literally has hops. You saw him in the dunk contest. I
Yeah.
don't really know why he decided to dunk in
Chill out.
Timberlands, but I mean that was cool. Was it Timberlands or Lugs? I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
Timberlands, right? Yeah.
One of the two.
Anyway, well, there you go. He's got personality. He definitely has personality. I
Right.
think you could make an argument that if he isn't the heart, he's the soul of the Orlando Magic. You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Damn.
kind of like their version of like what Malik Beasley is. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah.
brings like that enthusiasm, like that passion. I mean, obviously, Beef Stew does too. But like a very vocal guy. Same thing. Maybe it's because Orlando's been winning, but even now, right? They're kind of on a losing streak. He hasn't complained. But what I was trying to get at is he's shifted from being a starter. He won them games, scoring 30 points. Then he's back to the bench playing like 10 minutes. He doesn't seem to complain. At least it's never been reported.
Right.
Again, I like guys, at least from my backcourt guys, I want guys that could be able to attack off the dribble legitimately. What we say,
Yeah.
right? Dribble penetration, trying to, suck the defense in, or at least shift the defense. He's like just one of those really under the radar guys. Like, I mean, people know him, but I don't think they really understand just how impactful he could be until you either watch him live or you play against him,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Magic fans might say like their pushback of like, okay, he could be a little inconsistent at times or whatever. Man, that's true. Maybe the 3-point shot comes and goes, but I mean, like,
Right.
that's the thing. We're not
Fred
looking.
Vinson.
Well, there's that. Oh yeah, see, like even Ivy was like that, but we want that
Mhm.
ability to attack. We want him to be able to get downhill and create, right? Takes at the rim, looks at the rim for his teammates. So, I mean, again, if that's out there, hell yeah, dude. Because I mean, like, why? Right? All these other and again, I don't really know how much truth there is to them. Yahoo, Bleacher Report,
Yeah.
But if like he ends up being sent to Siberia, like basically going to like Utah, Siberia, meaning right the wastelands right now, the of the NBA. Like if he's gonna end up like in Utah or Charlotte because he's effectively a salary dump, I'd rather he come to Detroit where he will have an impact.
A role.
Now again,
Yeah.
there I could kind of maybe see a little bit of overlap with Sasser, just because I don't think their games have separated enough. Like Terry's, I think is right.
Plus their size.
Yeah. Exactly. With Terry, like his game is kind of separated. Like he understands who he is and he knows how to play with different players.
Right.
Cole, I'm not saying he can only play one way, but
Yeah. He's
I think
cold
all those
right now. Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
He's cold right now. And then switching gears, my wild card
From Siberia.
from Siberia is Jordan Clarkson. So acquiring Jordan Clarkson, still having Malik Beasley. What do you think we would have to ship out? What do you think bringing him in would result in? Would we not have a 29-17 quarter? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be where he get buckets and then Cade comes in and stabilizes the rest of it? You know what I mean? Because he would be kind of relieving Cade, to be honest.
I mean, he is. Yeah, I've had an up and down like relationship with Jordan Clarkson. I say relationship, even though I'm a fan because
He a Kobe kid.
He is. I've taught you
He
this word
is.
before. Maybe you forgot. He is my kababayan, right? Kababayan is Tagalog for countryman, right? Because
Okay.
he he is a member of the Filipino national team, right?
Yeah.
He has played for our FIBA team, and he played well. Or I mean, well, we didn't advance, but still, he represented well. So for that reason, he has my support. Because in his early days, I was like, man, this guy's a schmuck. But you know, um, obviously, former Sixth Man of the Year. Again, like Terry, yes, he has pride. He has a little bit of ego in a good way, but like he understands who he is, and he also, I think he knows that teams that bring him in, they bring him in for a reason, which is primarily get buckets.
Scoring. Yeah,
get buckets. Get buckets.
Yeah, run it up.
And right, his body of work suggests that's what he does.
Right.
He's a little bit older now, but still, he's still, coming off the bench. He's playing like 20 minutes a game for Utah, coming off the bench, and he's averaging 16 points per game. You know how insane that is? Do you know, like, dude, he's averaging
his
like how many,
is high.
like 6. I have to check. I want to say it was like close to 6 free throw attempts per game. Again, coming off the bench, because really outside of Cade, our team does not generate that many free throws. And if you want to, if you want to be able to kind of control pace in close games, you do need to at least have the ability
to
generate contact, get to the free throw line. Yeah, I mean, actually, he's even making less than THJ. THJ is like making like 16 mil. Jordan Clarkson is 14. So again, there's your question: who would I know?
Absorb him.
I don't hate THJ. It's just THJ. See, I think that is a large part of why Trajan traded for him, right? Like that number, that 16 is so tradable, like in so many different scenarios, right? So I mean, again, Utah's barely open, right? They're trying to get rid of him, John Collins, you know what I'm saying? Like they're really trying to ship out their veterans so they can focus on their youth. And I mean, same thing, like Cole Anthony, like Malik Beasley, right? Plays with a lot of passion, a lot of flair. Right. I mean, I think he'll fit in really well.
Wasn't it him and Ron Holland that was about to square up? Or that squared up, brother?
Yeah.
Come on over. You got the attitude. Come on over.
He tried to do, like,
come on over to Detroit. If you're ready to squabble up.
Right. He's like a 1800s boxer.
Yeah. Come on.
Put up your dukes. Yeah, so I mean, again, I don't think I think for this, depending on how quickly you would want to get him, if you really are trying to target him. If you're trying to get him now, I still think you could have him for just 1 second round pick. And like THJ is expiring. Or if you want to keep THJ, maybe you can cobble together some smaller salaries. I don't know, because of the differential.
2 seconds and Wendell Moore.
No, I'm saying, well,
I'm just throwing something out there.
No, I really think 1 second, like 1 second will do it.
Okay. Danny Ainge, though. Danny Ainge.
That's true. Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think
he drive a hard bargain.
I don't know for a fact. I'm just saying I have not heard of too many other teams pursuing Jordan Clarkson. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he has like a large market. Right. Because again, he's not expiring. He's under contract this year for 14 and then next year at 14.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. That's the thing. See, other teams, they want to get some veteran help, but they don't want it to bleed into next year because they need to maintain their cap flexibility. The Pistons don't really have that problem. No. They just bring him in. Right. So I like it. I like that suggestion. If that's possible, I would. And again, as you've seen, you already have a lot of, the Pistons have a lot of fans all over the world. I like when they did that jersey thing, right? You saw people from Brazil and Jamaica and, Korea, South Korea. But
Tom Herr. Shout out to Tom Herr.
Jordan Clarkson will bring the Filipino fans with him. He will. I can
Yes.
guarantee you that. Well, I mean, you already got one here, but you'll get more.
You're
So,
right, right,
you know,
right. And that's a dub.
you know, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking other than like Pat Connaughton, I would
Yeah.
say Terry, Cole, and Jordan are all like legitimate point guards or
Okay.
combo guards. I
Say
think
points.
Terry
Like,
has the
ooh.
best point guarding
Yeah,
ability.
he does.
I think
And the
Jordan
other
has
two
the best
are
ability to
scorers.
be a true number two. Like he could play
Right.
shooting guard like
Yeah.
exclusively if you told him to.
Yeah.
Uh Cole's like a true combo guard. Like he's not really either. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's not. Because he actually he's not seen as doing something well until he's running up the score. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't pay attention to the other things, but he runs up a score on top of what else he does on the floor, then yeah, he's yeah, that would be a really good fit, to be honest. Especially if he said, "Oh yeah, I'll potentially come off the bench with Malik Beasley, and Cole Anthony." Like what? Come on, man. That's 40 points off the bench. At least 35. At least 30.
Dude, I want to see
Do I need
like
to keep scaling it back?
I
15 to
want to see
15.
like a Jordan Clarkson, Ron Holland pick and roll.
Ooh,
Like, can you imagine how
what?
hyped they would get, man? They
Good
would get so
lord.
hyped, dude.
Yeah, because you can't you have to be honest on defense with those two. You know what I mean? Like with Jordan
Yeah.
Clarkson being there, you would have to be honest, and because he can run up buckets. And I don't know, maybe he's lost his luster and feel in Utah. Maybe he's not as excited or whatever. He still does what he does. But imagine him being put in another situation where it's like, oh, we're the sixth seed. We're the sixth seed, Detroit Pistons fans, and looking to go higher. And it's like, oh, so I'm in the playoff picture. All right, let me perform. So then what Jordan Clarkson do we get? You know what I mean? So I just think it's a good look, especially for the 29-17 quarter. We won't have an offensive lapse. We shouldn't have offensive lapses that hard. I don't know if they got comfortable. There was like, oh, we won the game and just set back or whatever. But it's just like plug Jordan Clarkson into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's going to prove himself. He is a Kobe kid because I remember him in LA. And I just he has that along with all of his experience as well. So there's a level of professionalism that's probably to him. There's a level of performance that he probably seeks to attain, and I think that he would be a good acquisition. I do. That's why
Yeah,
he's
I
my
mean,
wild card.
if it's and again, I want to reiterate, we're not trying to drive, we're not trying to chase THJ out of town. I'm just saying, right, like
No,
hypothetically, in order to, send a salary out. But I mean, if it's THJ, I'm looking down like of the guys that we'd probably it's either got to be THJ or Fontecchio, you know.
we can't just
Um
absorb him.
Clarkson actually, oh, you're right. You could. You
Yeah,
technically could. You
yeah,
technically could. So I guess actually, yeah, maybe you're doing Utah a favor. You're just taking a
yeah.
guy and they have an open spot.
Taking a guy
Okay,
and
that's true.
then
I'm thinking about the other guys though.
right,
Like Terry, you definitely got to send some salary out.
right.
Actually, maybe they would want Fontecchio. You never know. Like Miami
Yeah.
could definitely use some shooters.
Oh, we
Um, and
Fontecchio with Yaquez.
actually, Orlando could probably use Fontecchio. But then again, they're also your competition.
Man, Fontecchio's
I mean,
gonna
I
be
know,
there.
right? You scratch my back. Yeah, you scratch. I scratch
You
your back.
scratch
But
my
I don't know. You guys like actually we leapfrogged them in the standings today. So
okay.
all I'm saying is I'm not trying to rank who's most important or more special on this
Yeah,
team. It's just like if you were to give up one of those guys,
yeah,
I still think like this team's pretty special, right? I don't think it damages the
yeah.
chemistry. And
At
I
all.
think
They come in,
I
get on the page, and we're good to
yeah,
go. To
yeah,
be
I think the
honest.
four guys we listed, I think they all seem like they'd all like buy in.
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
especially. I think all of them. I mean, especially Clarkson and Cole Anthony. I think they'd be excited to join the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I got like a defined role or a bigger role. You
Hmm.
know,
And I'm playing next to
so
Cade Cunningham. I'm gonna join the cadence of the
that's
Pistons.
right. All
You
NBA
know that's
kid,
my
man.
thing, the cadence.
That's right.
Well, okay. Well, so ladies and gentlemen, y'all got a little bit more spicy trade talk. I know everybody is still trade talking. It's just every day, every day, every day, every day. We going outside the box and we're actually looking at things that actually fit inside the box with the Detroit Pistons. But make sure y'all follow us on our names here, Opinion at the MJ at EMW Pod at CP3 underscore 777. He should actually have the damn EMW pod under his name because he he
That's
runs
all
the
good. We're
account.
both
He
fun.
runs the account better than
I
I
know.
do. He kills it. But yeah, and make sure y'all like, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll be back with some more Pistons coverage. Like we might step out of the box a little bit and just be random through the trade
That's
deadline.
right.
So yeah, yeah. So y'all have a good
And
night.
feel free to join us also for our WNBA talks and everything. You know,
Definitely. Yeah, we
they're all
we
fun.
cover the dub
Yeah.
for sure.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Take
Have a
care.
good one. Oh, and Detroit, dress warm. It's cold outside.